The desperate deception. Olivia Jenkins stared at her reflection in the bathroom mirror, her hands trembling as she gripped the edge of the sink. What had she done? One impulsive lie, and now her entire career hung in the balance. "You're married? Why haven't you ever mentioned a husband before?" Victoria Blackwood had asked, perfectly sculpted eyebrow raised in suspicion after Olivia's desperate claim. It had all started that morning in the gleaming conference room of Pinnacle Marketing Group. Olivia had been silently taking notes during the quarterly review when Victoria, the firm's notoriously judgmental creative director, announced the company would be hosting a VIP dinner with their most prestigious clients. "Olivia, I need you to prepare the presentation materials," Victoria had said, barely glancing in her direction. "But Rebecca will be handling the actual presentation." Rebecca Wells, with her designer wardrobe and perfect social media presence, had smirked from across the table. Olivia had been at Pinnacle 3 years longer than Rebecca, yet was constantly passed over for opportunities. "Actually," Olivia had said, surprising even herself, "I'd like to present my own work." Victoria had laughed, before taking a sip from her monogrammed water bottle. "These clients expect a certain polish, Olivia. They relate better to people like them. People with established lives?" She gestured vaguely toward Rebecca's diamond engagement ring. "Family people." Something had snapped inside Olivia. 3 years of swallowed comments, of watching less qualified colleagues advance because they fit Victoria's narrow definition of success. "I'm married," Olivia had blurted out. "I just don't wear my ring at work." The room had fallen silent. Victoria's eyes had narrowed, reassessing Olivia as though seeing her for the first time. "Is that so? Interesting that it's never come up before," Victoria had said, tapping her manicured nails against the glass table. "Well then, perhaps you should join us at the dinner. Bring your husband, of course. I'd love to meet the man who captured our quiet little Olivia." Now, hiding in the bathroom, Olivia splashed cold water on her face. What had possessed her to tell such a ridiculous lie? She wasn't dating anyone, let alone married. But the dinner was this Friday, just 3 days away, and Victoria had already emailed the entire team confirming Olivia would be presenting her campaign. With her husband in attendance, Olivia's phone buzzed. A calendar invitation from Victoria. Pinnacle VIP dinner, the Meridian Hotel, 7 p.m., black tie, RSVP +1 required. She groaned, gathering her things to head home. Outside, rain poured down in sheets, matching her mood perfectly. Without an umbrella, she made a run for her usual coffee shop, the Daily Grind, where she could regroup before facing her empty apartment. Pushing through the door, Olivia collided with a tall figure, sending her bag and papers scattering across the wet floor. "I'm so sorry," she gasped, dropping to her knees to gather her things, not even looking up to see who she'd crashed into. Just the perfect end to a perfect day. "Let me help," came a deep voice as another pair of hands began collecting her scattered belongings. "Rough day?" "You have no idea," Olivia sighed, finally looking up into the warmest brown eyes she'd ever seen. "I just ruined my career with the stupidest lie imaginable." "I'm intrigued," the stranger said with a kind smile. "Coffee's on me. I have a feeling this is a story worth hearing." Little did Olivia know, this chance encounter would change everything. An unexpected ally. "I told my boss I'm married," Olivia confessed, wrapping her hands around the steaming mug of chai latte. "And now I need to produce a husband by Friday night or kiss my career goodbye." The stranger across from her, who had introduced himself as James Sullivan, tilted his head, studying her with curious intensity. His crisp blue button-down contrasted with the casual cafe setting, and something about his quiet confidence made Olivia feel she could trust him. "That's quite a predicament," James said, his voice carrying a hint of amusement rather than judgment. "What prompted such a creative solution?" Olivia sighed. 3 years of watching less qualified people get promoted because they fit my boss's idea of success, married, connected, picture perfect. I just snapped. "Victoria Blackwood, right?" James asked. Olivia's eyes widened. "You know her?" "I know of her. he replied carefully. Her reputation in marketing circles is rather distinctive. That's a diplomatic way of saying she's a nightmare, Olivia laughed, surprising herself. It felt good to talk to someone who understood. James smiled, revealing a dimple in his left cheek. So what's your plan? Hire an actor? Create an elaborate backstory about a husband working overseas? I don't have a plan, Olivia admitted. I was thinking I'd call in sick, but Victoria already announced I'd be presenting my campaign. I've worked so hard for this opportunity. James was quiet for a moment, absently turning his coffee cup. He had elegant hands, Olivia noticed, not in a manicured way, but in how they moved with purpose. I could do it, he said suddenly, looking up to meet her startled gaze. Do what? Be your husband. For the dinner. Olivia nearly choked on her chai. You can't be serious. You don't even know me? I know you're passionate about your work. I know you've been overlooked. And I know what it's like to be judged based on appearances rather than merit. Something flashed in his eyes, a vulnerability that vanished as quickly as it appeared. Besides, my Friday evening is surprisingly open. Why would you help a complete stranger? Olivia asked, suspicion replacing her initial shock. James shrugged. Let's call it karmic balancing. I've received help from strangers at crucial moments in my life. Maybe it's time to pay it forward. Still hesitant, Olivia studied him. There was something familiar about him, though she couldn't place it. Maybe he'd been coming to the daily grind as long as she had. He certainly didn't seem like a serial killer. We'd need a convincing story, she said, testing whether he was serious. How we met. How long we've been married. 2 years, James replied promptly. We met at this very cafe when you were working late on a project. I was impressed by your focus and asked if the seat across from you was taken. 3 months later, I proposed at sunset on Willow Point. Olivia blinked. You've given this thought in the last 5 minutes. I'm good at narratives, he said with a slight smile. It's part of what I do. And what exactly do you do, James Sullivan? Investment consulting, he answered smoothly. Primarily for tech startups looking to scale. The rain had stopped outside, and golden evening light streamed through the windows, illuminating dust motes between them. Olivia found herself considering his offer. It was crazy, absolutely crazy, yet somehow less crazy than showing up alone after her lie. If, and this is a big if, I agreed to this insanity, we'd need to coordinate everything. Backstory, body language. I can't have you contradicting something I say. James pulled out his phone. Give me your number. We have 3 days to become a convincing married couple. As Olivia recited her number, a mixture of relief and anxiety washed over her. She was really doing this, putting her career in the hands of a handsome stranger. One more thing, James said, his expression turning serious. What's your favorite flower? Sunflowers, Olivia answered, confused by the sudden change of topic. Good to know, he replied with a mysterious smile. Husbands should know these things. The perfect performance. Friday evening arrived far too quickly. Olivia stood before her bedroom mirror, smoothing non-existent wrinkles from her burgundy dress, the most expensive item in her closet, saved for special occasions. Her hair was swept into an elegant updo, showcasing the delicate gold earrings that had been her grandmother's. Over the past 3 days, she and James had exchanged dozens of texts, creating an elaborate history of their relationship. They'd agreed on everything from how he proposed at sunset on Satiwari Willow Point with her favorite takeout and a vintage ring, to their honeymoon destination, Portugal, because neither had actually been there, eliminating the risk of contradictory details. The doorbell rang precisely at 6:30. Taking a deep breath, Olivia opened her apartment door to find James looking impossibly handsome in a tailored charcoal suit. Holding a bouquet of sunflowers for my wife, he said with a warm smile that reached his eyes. Ready for our anniversary dinner? Anniversary? Olivia whispered, accepting the flowers. I took the liberty of adding that detail, James explained quietly. 2 years married as of last month. Gives us a reason to be particularly affectionate tonight. Clever, she admitted, inviting him inside while she found a vase, though I'm not sure about the affectionate part. James leaned against her kitchen counter, watching her arrange the flowers. We don't have to overdo it. Small gestures sell the story better than grand ones. A hand on the small of your back, finishing each other's sentences. Inside jokes. You've thought of everything, Olivia said, impressed despite herself. Almost everything, he replied, pulling a small velvet box from his pocket. We need this detail to be perfect. Inside was a stunning platinum band with a cushion-cut diamond that caught the light in brilliant flashes. James, I can't. This must be expensive. It's on loan from a jeweler friend, he assured her, though I admit I enjoyed picking it out. It seemed to suit you. As she slipped it on, Olivia was struck by how natural it felt. For a moment, she allowed herself to imagine this was real, that she was heading to dinner with her actual husband who brought her favorite flowers and knew exactly what kind of ring she would love. Shall we? James offered his arm, pulling her from her thoughts. The Meridian Hotel's rooftop restaurant was illuminated by hundreds of twinkling lights, offering a panoramic view of the city skyline. Olivia spotted Victoria immediately, holding court at the largest table, surrounded by Pinnacle's biggest clients. Remember, James whispered, his breath warm against her ear, you belong here just as much as anyone. More, actually. Your campaign ideas are brilliant. Surprised, Olivia looked up at him. How would you know that? His smile turned slightly enigmatic. You mentioned the concept during our coffee. It was innovative, tying environmental sustainability to luxury positioning. Very forward-thinking. Before she could question him further, Victoria noticed them. Olivia! There you are, she called, her voice carrying the slight edge it always held when addressing subordinates. Her gaze shifted to James, and Olivia watched with satisfaction as Victoria's expression changed from dismissive to intrigued. And this must be the mystery husband. James Sullivan, he introduced himself with easy confidence, shaking Victoria's hand. I've heard so much about Pinnacle's creative direction under your leadership. Something indefinable passed between them. A brief flash of recognition in Victoria's eyes that made Olivia nervous. Had she seen through their charade already? But Victoria was smiling, actually smiling, as she led them to the table. James, I'd love your perspective on our new client acquisition strategy. What field did you say you were in? Investment consulting, primarily in the tech sector, he replied, placing a casual hand on Olivia's back as they were seated. The touch felt protective, grounding. Throughout dinner, James was flawless, charming the clients with insightful questions about their industries, sharing amusing anecdotes about their honeymoon mishaps in Portugal, and repeatedly steering the conversation back to Olivia's accomplishments. My wife is too modest, he said, giving her a look of genuine pride that made her heart flutter. Did she mention her campaign doubled engagement metrics for the Westlake account? By dessert, Victoria was looking at Olivia with newfound respect, and the senior client from Global Tech was asking detailed questions about her presentation. You've been holding out on us, Olivia, Victoria said during a lull in the conversation, both professionally and personally. James is not what I expected. Life is full of surprises, Olivia replied, feeling a surge of confidence. Sometimes the quiet ones have the most to offer. Later, as James helped her into a taxi, Olivia felt dizzy with success. That was incredible, she whispered. They loved the presentation. Victoria actually complimented me, James smiled, squeezing her hand. You earned it. I just helped them see what was already there. As the taxi pulled away, Olivia realized two unsettling things. She was still wearing his ring, and she wasn't entirely sure she wanted the night to end. Part 4. Blurring the Lines. 3 weeks after the dinner, Olivia stared at the email on her screen with a mixture of elation and panic. Congratulations on securing the Global Tech account, Victoria had written. Their CEO was particularly impressed with your vision. We'd like you to lead the team for their product launch, including attending the executive retreat at Lake Windermere this weekend. Please confirm you and James can attend. They specifically requested both of you. Olivia hadn't seen James since that night, though they'd texted occasionally. She'd returned the ring via courier with a thank you note and a gift card to his favorite coffee shop. information gleaned during their preparation sessions. He'd responded with a simple message: "Anytime you need a husband, you know where to find me." She'd laughed it off, assuming their arrangement was a one-time thing. Now she wasn't so sure. Picking up her phone, she hesitated before typing, "Need to borrow a husband again. 3 days this time. Much bigger ask. Coffee to discuss?" His response came almost immediately. "Daily grind, 6 p.m.? When she arrived, James was already there, 2 cups waiting on the table. "Chai latte, extra cinnamon," he said, pushing one toward her as she sat down. "So what's the occasion this time? Anniversary party? Family reunion? Corporate retreat," Olivia explained, warming her hands on the mug. "Global Tech signed with us, and apparently you made quite an impression on their CEO. 3 days at Lake Windermere. It's too much to ask, I know." James leaned back, studying her face. "You've been doing well since the dinner." It wasn't a question, but Olivia nodded. "Victoria assigned me to lead the Global Tech account. I've been included in strategy meetings, client calls, everything I was shut out from before. And now you're worried it will all disappear if you show up without your charming husband," James said with a hint of a smile. "Exactly." Olivia sighed. "I know it's ridiculous, but I'll do it," James interrupted. "On one condition," Olivia raised an eyebrow. "Which is?" "We spend some time together before the retreat. If we're going to convince people we're married for 3 days straight, we need to know each other better than we do now." That was how Olivia found herself spending the next evening at James's apartment. A surprisingly modest but elegantly furnished space in a converted warehouse. They cooked dinner together, exchanging stories about their childhoods, their dreams, their disappointments. Olivia learned that James had lost both parents young and been raised by his grandfather, that he played chess competitively in college, that he preferred winter to summer. In turn, she told him about her Midwestern upbringing, her passion for vintage photography, her secret dream of starting her own agency someday. By the time the retreat arrived, Olivia was alarmed to realize how comfortable she felt with James, how she instinctively reached for his hand when they arrived at the lakeside resort, how her laugh became more genuine when he was near. The retreat blended team-building activities with strategy sessions. James seamlessly integrated himself, contributing insights during discussions that impressed even the most skeptical executives. During a hike through the wooded trails, he kept pace with Global Tech's intimidating CEO, returning with what appeared to be inside jokes between them. "How do you do that?" Olivia asked that night as they prepared for bed in their shared cabin. The retreat organizers had naturally assigned them a single room with one king-sized bed. "Do what?" James asked, arranging pillows down the middle of the bed, a gentleman's barrier he'd suggested without being asked. "Connect with people so easily. Make everyone feel seen." James paused, considering her question. "I observe before I speak. Most people are waiting for their turn to talk. They miss what others are actually saying." "Is that what you did with me?" "Observed?" His eyes met hers across the room, unexpectedly serious. "I'm still observing you, Olivia, and I'm increasingly fascinated by what I see." The air between them seemed to change, charged with something neither was ready to name. Olivia looked away first. "We should get some sleep," she said softly. "Canoe races tomorrow." Later, lying awake with James breathing steadily on the other side of the pillow barrier, Olivia faced an uncomfortable truth. Somewhere between the fake marriage and the real conversations, she'd developed very real feelings for a man she wasn't sure she knew at all. Truths revealed. On the final evening of the retreat, Olivia stood on the dock watching the sunset paint the lake in shades of amber and rose. The weekend had been a professional triumph. She'd secured additional funding for her campaign, earned Victoria's genuine respect, and been promised a promotion upon their return to the office. Yet something felt hollow about her success. The more time she spent with James, the more the lines blurred between performance and reality. When he'd kissed her cheek at breakfast that morning, her heart had raced. When they'd partnered for the trust fall exercise, she'd felt safer in his arms than she had any right to. "Beautiful evening," came his voice from behind her. Olivia didn't turn. I've been thinking about what happens after we leave tomorrow. Back to reality, James said, moving to stand beside her at the railing. Which reality? She asked, finally looking at him. The one where I'm a marketing assistant who lied to get ahead? Or the one where I've started to believe my own fiction? James was quiet for a long moment, watching a pair of ducks glide across the water. I haven't been entirely honest with you, Olivia. Her stomach tightened. What do you mean? My name isn't James Sullivan, he said quietly. It's Ethan Richardson. Olivia's mind raced, trying to place the name. Then it clicked. Ethan Richardson, founder of Nexus Technologies, the reclusive innovator who'd revolutionized sustainable energy storage systems before stepping back from public life 3 years ago. She couldn't finish the sentence. Yes, he confirmed, though I prefer the anonymity of James most days. The cafe is one of the few places I go where nobody recognizes me. Olivia stepped back, processing this revelation. So that first night, when you offered to help me, I already knew who you were, Ethan admitted. I'd seen you at the Daily Grind for months, always focused, always creating. When Victoria Blackwood's name came up, I was curious. Her firm had approached Nexus for a potential partnership last year. So this was about business? Olivia felt a cold weight settling in her chest. No, Ethan said firmly, reaching for her hand. This was about you. About the marketing assistant who worked through lunch breaks, who treated the cafe staff with kindness even when stressed, who left encouraging sticky notes on community boards when she thought no one was looking. Olivia blushed. You saw those? I see you, Olivia, he said simply. Not the persona you put on for Victoria, not the resume you present to the world. Just you. Why didn't you tell me who you were? Ethan's smile turned rueful. When you're worth what financial magazines say I'm worth, people change around you. Their expectations shift. Their authenticity fades. With you, I could just be the guy from the cafe. Olivia processed this, trying to reconcile the James she'd come to care for with this new identity. Global Tech's CEO recognized you immediately, didn't he? He did, Ethan acknowledged. We have a prior business relationship. He agreed to keep my secret. So everyone's been in on this except me, Olivia said, hurt evident in her voice. No one knows about us, about how we really met, about the arrangement. Ethan stepped closer. That part has been just ours. And somewhere along the way, it stopped feeling like an arrangement to me. The sun had nearly disappeared below the horizon now, painting them in twilight. In the main lodge behind them, the retreat's farewell dinner was beginning, but neither moved to join it. What happens now? Olivia asked. The promotion I've worked for is waiting for me, but it's built on a lie. Not entirely, Ethan countered. Your ideas, your presentation, your connections with clients, those were all real. Victoria would never have noticed without our charade, yes, but she wouldn't have kept you on the Global Tech account if you weren't exceptional. Olivia considered this. And what about us? That started as a lie, too. Did it? Ethan took her hand, turning her to face him fully. I think maybe it started years ago with a man too shy to approach the focused woman at the corner table, and a woman too busy building her career to notice his interest. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a familiar velvet box. I never returned this to my jeweler friend. There is no friend. I bought it hoping someday I'd have the courage to tell you the truth. Opening the box revealed the same diamond ring she'd worn at the dinner, the one she'd reluctantly returned. I'm not proposing, Ethan clarified quickly. That would be rushing things even for our unconventional timeline, but I am suggesting we try something radical. What's that? Olivia asked, heart pounding. The truth, he said simply. Let's date openly as ourselves. No more pretending. And my job? Victoria will know we lied. Victoria already suspects, Ethan admitted. But she's too impressed with both of us to care. Besides, office romances that bloom into marriage make for excellent company newsletter features. Olivia couldn't help but laugh. You've thought of everything again? Not everything, he said, suddenly serious. I didn't anticipate falling in love with the woman who once spilled coffee on my favorite shirt and never even looked up to apologize. That was you? Olivia gasped, remembering the incident from nearly a year ago. That was me, Ethan confirmed, and I've been finding excuses to be in your orbit ever since. In the distance, someone called their names. Dinner was starting. But neither moved, suspended in this moment of truth between them. "We should go in," Olivia said finally. "They're waiting for us." "Let them wait," Ethan replied, drawing her closer. "I've been waiting much longer for this." As his lips met hers in their first real kiss, no audience, no pretense, Olivia realized some lies, told at just the right moment, could lead to the most unexpected truths.